22nd of August, Rabbi Levitt, Horeb.
Okay, so we are, guess where we got up to today? For today, we got up to 367, could that be? Did we read all of this?
Yeah, you got up to 367. That's correct.
Okay. Good morning, Mayor.
Good morning.
Okay, so if that's where we got up to, so let's go from there. That's the bottom line. For us, this warning is sufficient. Beware of all unlawful acts, of all unlawful words, which are, however, remotely susceptible of causing damage to your neighbor. That's the bottom line. I mean, if it's a lawful act, is there such a thing as a lawful act that could cause damage to your neighbor also? If the whole point of is to not cause damage to your neighbor, it shouldn't be any better if it's a lawful act. Maybe he means that's school for what makes it unlawful. I don't know why you had to write unlawful. But I don't really remember what he said here in this thing here, so I can't comment.
Well, maybe lawful acts don't cause damage, according to him. Only unlawful acts cause damage.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe.
Okay, very good. So, we start from 367 today, and we call upon, yesterday Alan was the last one to read, so we'll call upon Lou to start off the reading for today.
Here then you stand forth as the master, and thus the sole responsible guardian of your worldly goods and of the energies of your body. As such, you have to indemnify wherever you have caused damage, but do not say, all right, then why should I guard my goods and my energy? If they have caused any damage, I make it good and nobody can complain. But consider, once you have done harm, the only thing you are able to do is pay compensation. You could never undo the harm and wipe out all the consequences. Furthermore, the highest goal you can reach is to become a chassid, that's to say, a person who lives entirely with everything he has for the welfare of others, who is nothing for himself and everything for others. Therefore, you see, the first step you have to take is to see that neither you nor any of your belongings interfere adversely with the welfare of another person. You, with all your belongings, should become a blessing. Be on your guard that you and your belongings do not become a curse. Watch over all your belongings so that they do no harm to your neighbor. And also, what you throw away or pour away, see to it that it do no harm. You ought to bring good, so do not bring evil.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. You ought to bring good. You're supposed to bring good to the world. So So if that's so, then at the very least, don't bring evil. This is Gemara's people throwing out and pouring out their refuse and dirty water. There's Gemara's about this, where they can do it and when they can do it, how they can do it.
Yeah.
Today we have it all worked out. We have the Uriah come and take all the everything away. But anyway, but there is still the obligation to put the bag that you want to throw away into the refuse receptacle, and not to ask your 5-year-old kid to bring it up there, and then he can't put it up there, so he leaves it over there, and then the cats come. Anyway, that's just my pet peeve because I live right opposite those three receptacles. Okay. So, round of applause for responsibility for damage caused by property or physical force. Chapter 49. 7 times 7. Now we go.
Sounds like the Omer.
Yeah. Now we go to the Jubilee chapter, number 50. Falsehood, lying, flattery, and hypocrisy. Sheker, Hanufa, and Genevas Das. Okay. And we go to Mayor to start off this section.
Okay, it says, you shall not steal, neither shall ye deal falsely, nor lie one to another. And that's from Vayikra. And the next quote is from Shemot, keep thee far from a false matter.
Sheker Tirchak. Yeah, it would have been nice if they had the Hebrew, the original, the language in its original also, but okay. So, and now, maybe you could continue with 368.
Okay, I will do that.
Still waiting for Roy to come back. I assume he's what's doing with Roy these days?
His wife is still having problems, so he probably went to the hospital to be with her.
Okay, Refuah Shlema, Hanabat Shindle.
Hanabat Shindle, right. Okay, so let's continue. And this is 368. It says, although the oral law, Torah Shabbal Peh, teaches that the pronouncement, you shall not deal falsely, is a warning against falsely denying having received goods in trust, and neither lie one to another, a warning against taking a false oath for that purpose. It is nevertheless possible to assume that the prohibition in general and that those two warnings are only parts of it, that they are applications of the same general command. To be sure, the words one to another suggest damage caused to another person through lying. But then, generally speaking, every lie injures the person to whom or against whom it has been told. In the same way, our Chachamim consider every fraud, which is indeed nothing but a sort of a lie, as intellectual theft, and therefore governed by the law on theft Geneva dot. And the second pronouncement, keep far from a false matter, which the oral law in Ketubot interprets as covering anything said in support of the directly damaging falsehood, is considered to be a general prohibition of the lie applied by Beit Shammai even to a white lie uttered for politeness' sake. Wow. Okay, let me just finish up. We therefore thought we should explain here the prohibition of the lie in general, which elsewhere in Tanakh and Talmud is painted in such black colors. So what if your wife cooks you a dinner and you really don't like it, but you tell her, honey, this is a good meal?
Then she's going to make the same thing again. Or
Well,
maybe this time she won't burn it.
maybe she'll learn. I mean, I don't know. I thought sometimes white lies were permitted to create harmony.
Yeah. That's a Gemara in Bava Metzia.
Oh, okay.
There's a Gemara in Bava Metzia that says that actually it says Sorba Mirabonin, a Torah scholar. He's knowing to be Mashana B'Diburo, to change the truth of his words in three cases. One case is, and one of the, actually, is one of the cases Shalom Bias.
Oh, okay.
I think that's somewhere else.
Oh,
That klal. But yeah. We would have to take a look at this Gemara and see what it is that what type of, what's the circumstance over here. Covering anything said in support of a directly damaging falsehood. It's considered to be a general prohibition of sheker, applied by Beit Shammai even to a white lie, uttered for politeness' sake. I don't know what that means. How is it politeness' sake if he's covering up something which and supporting something which is directly damaging something? I don't understand the sentence over here. Maybe we should take a look at this more. Ketubot 17a.
okay.
And we haven't looked up the Gemara in a long time.
Vote. Okay, 1 second.
He doesn't generally quote Gemaras like this, but now he does.
I see. That makes sense.
Okay, 17a. keep far from false matters.
Right. Let's look in the Torah Or and see where they have the quote that says Midvar Sheker Tircha. There we go. It's the first pasuk in Torah Or Shalom. Midvar Sheker Tircha. And the Aleph, so it's the fourth line from the top of the page.
No.
Oh, you know what it's talking about?
It's the broad.
Talking about Yirat Chasna. Tanur Rabbanan, Ketzad Baraktin, Lifnei Hakala. How does one dance in front of the Kala? We're not really talking about dancing over here. We're talking about words of praise. That's the issue over here. In the words of praise, we're not talking about how to dance.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so Beis Shammai says, Kala Kamos Shehi. What do you have to say about the Kala? You tell it like it is, as a famous person once said. Meaning to say, Rashi says, Lefi Yofya v'chashibuta v'chalsinota. Exactly according to her, who she is and what she is and everything like that. That's what you say. You don't say any less, but you don't say any more. That's what Beis Shammai says. And Beis Hillel, though, he doesn't say like that. Beis Hillel says, Kala no b'chasuda. What do you say? You praise her. That's what Tosfos says over here. That's what Beis Hillel is talking about. Kala, Top Tosfos says, he's actually going on the words of Beis Shammai. Kala kamoshihi, v'im yesh bo mum, yishtaku. Says Tosfos, 1 second over here. If she has some type of a mum, some type of a blemish, then keep your mouth shut. V'lo yishabchua. And don't praise. That's what Beis Shammai is talking about. You don't have to go that far to praise something which she really has a mum, a blemish. Or alternatively, he says, Inami, Yishabhuhu b'devar noah, sheyesh bo. You praise something that she has which is worthy of praise. So you're telling the absolute truth. Interesting that you could comment like that. You say, "Kagon beineha o biodeha imhem yafot." Her eyes, her some other her hands. I guess those are neutral areas. And anyway, Beis Hillel, however, Omrim Yishabhu L'Gamrei. You give her complete and unadulterated praise. Because Shemaskirin מה שיש בו לשבח, בכלל בשער לגנאי. Oh, says Beis Hillel, you have to praise every aspect that there is in her. And he says, because you know why you have to do like that? Because you must hearing Mashiach, because when you just selectively praise one or two things about her for praise, what does that imply? It implies that all the other things about her are not very becoming and not very praiseworthy. Okay, so that's what we're talking about over here. So what does Rav Hirsch have to say about this?
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
This Rav Hirsch says the second pronouncement, meaning I guess the second pasuk that he quoted here in his above, where he quotes the psukim, you should keep far away from a false matter, which the Gemara that we read in Ksubis interprets as covering anything said in support of the directly damaging falsehood. Is considered to be a general prohibition of the lie, applied by Beis Shammai even to a white lie uttered for politeness' sake.
Huh.
Applied by Beis Shammai even to a white lie uttered for politeness' sake. In other words, like this. In other words, what does Beis Shammai say? Beis Shammai says you got to tell it like it is. Well, even though Tosu says, look, if she has a mum, don't say that she has a mum. Just be quiet. But don't praise. You cannot praise something which is really in objective reality, let's say, a not a very complimentary part of her. So that's what Beis Shammai says. Although we don't really paskin like Beis Shammai, though. So it's interesting that Rav Hirsch is quoting Beis Shammai over here. So what is Rav Hirsch pointing out over here?
I have a comment that says it's based on a Rashi. And since the bride evidently found favor in the groom's eyes, we also praise her to him. So I guess you wouldn't want to go up to the groom and say, boy, you have a bad choice here. That would ruin everything.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think it's clear that we're not talking about going over and it's clear that everyone understands nobody's gonna that it's clear that we're not supposed to go over and say something uncomplimentary about the bride to the groom. Of course, that's so. The question over here is, like Tosfos brings up, what happens if she has a mum? she has some type. I don't know exactly what Tosfos is referring to. A moom. What type of a moom is he referring to? That probably is a subject of discussion somewhere. It's interesting that the Gemara is not talking about a spiritual movement. It's talking about her physical appearance. It would seem,
Right. Yeah.
unless we're going to take those words out of their straightforward meaning, which would be quite difficult to say. So the question is, I mean, it's a funny. I find the whole Gemara difficult to understand. What's going on here? Men are talking about the physical characteristics of a woman. It's very difficult for me to understand what the propriety of this what this is saying over here anyway. I can't imagine that the Gemara means to say that it's a question of whether you can go over and say she has beautiful eyes or she has beautiful hands. It doesn't sound like something that somebody would say.
Right.
Obviously, shouldn't say something like that. So anyway, the Gemara is raising more questions than it is solving answers, as far as I'm concerned. But okay, so that's that. So we'll leave it for that. We'll leave 368 with that. But
Okay.
I don't really. I don't know. I'd have to take a look at the Gemara a little bit further. I don't see anything on the. That's the main thing that I see. That even Beis Shammai says don't say anything negative, even if it's true. That's for sure not. All he's saying is that you don't is that you should not you should not say should not praise something which is an outright moon. That's basically what Tosfos is saying that Beis Hillel means, and the implication is that Beis Hillel would say the contrary. Beis Hillel would say yes, it's absolutely permissible to say. In other words, that's the issue of the Gemara over here, I guess. I mean, the issue of the Gemara is of course you want to say something nice to the husband to make him happy, and so the question is, how far can you go in stretching the truth? That's how I'm understanding because the Gemara is bringing up this pasuk of Devar Sheker Tirchak over here when over here. So it is interesting that you see though that the Gemara says that I don't really recall anybody commenting about to a chassan about the physical appearance of his new wife. At the chasna, I don't recall anybody ever saying anything like that. But so, as I say, it's the whole Gemara is very curious to me. But it seems like what the halacha that's coming out is that Beis Hillel is saying that according to the Tosfos that no, you praise everything and anything. And even if there's a moon over there, you don't what do you call it? You don't not only are you not quiet, but you praise it, and you praise it completely, because Tosfos says because otherwise the implication is that you're saying that only these two things she has which are praiseworthy, and everything else is not worthy of praise, and that would be damaging. That would be damaging. That would cause damage. So therefore, we so to speak, we push aside the isser of midvar sheker lo tirchak. And as you say, I didn't find that Rashi over there. I assume it is somewhere on the page. like you said, from the Rashi, that would be Rashi's take on the matter about right, because the chassan obviously thinks that, and therefore you should reinforce that, because why? Because obviously that's really what the chassan we want. We want that the chassan should be thinking like that, and that's what he's mechuyev to think like that, because only like that they're going to be able to have a successful shalom bayis. Okay. 369. And we go to Alan.
Okay. Number 50?
369.
Right.
Yes, chapter 50, right.
Okay. God who created man to be just, that is to say, to leave and to give all entities in all their relations that which is their due, has also endowed his mind with
the faculty of mirroring the reality of things in their various relations.
To perceive the entities and their relations, and on the strength of this knowledge, give of them what the teachings of justice lay down as their right. This reproduction of reality in the mind of truth, therefore, is a precondition of justice, for only according to the image of the things and relations with which appears in man's mind can man behave towards them. If his image be false, his behavior toward them will be different from what is due to them. He becomes unjust, and thus, if nothing else, justice itself, which is our divine calling, will guarantee that as far as the calling of ours demands, we shall be able to perceive the reality of external things from their reflection within ourselves. For just as God has endowed the human mind with the faculty of mirroring the reality of its own external world, so also has he given him the faculty of revealing to others reality as done to him by means of his language. And thus the individual can live not only in accordance to his own experience, but the whole of mankind can cooperate for the improvement of the human mind. The individual can inherit the spiritual treasure of all mankind, and by becoming richer in truth, also becomes richer in justice, and lead a life of action instead of a life of mere experience. In such manner, by means of that supreme blessing, God has knitted together the community of man with the vital thread of love, and has ordained that for the spiritual good and namely truth.
Wow.
It's a lot to digest.
Yeah, I didn't understand it at all. I didn't understand it at all. What Hashem created man to be just. We're still going with the thread of justice over here. That's man's obligation to act with justice and to pursue justice and to do justice. And what does that mean? Here he gives a definition: to leave and give to all entities in all the relations that which is their due. Give everyone everything their due. What's their due? What is due them, I guess. What is owed them? You have to do. You're owed certain obligations to other people, so you have to do them. That's called justice. Okay. Now, how does that come into truth? How does truth interface with justice? That seems to be what his topic of discussion is over here. So Hashem has set this this all up. He's endowed the mind of a person to be able to understand things, and with that understanding and knowledge that he has, to give to other people what justice demands is their rights. And this reproduction of reality in the mind is truth. Okay, so it doesn't seem to me that he's talking anywhere here about what you can say, about saying something which is true or saying something which is false. That's what I was looking for. I don't see, even though in the second paragraph, he is talking about language. He makes an interesting point because of man's has an ability to communicate by means of language to other people. So that means that every person who's alive, he has the ability to access the knowledge and the understanding that has been attained in the world by the greatest of minds. That's what we're doing, right? We're learning because we have language and we have the ability to communicate. We can learn the Gemara. We can learn the Chumash. We can learn the Mishnah, and we can learn what truth is and what justice is. Even though we were not able to understand or perceive that on our own, but we're learning it from what another someone else is communicating to us. Okay. Yeah, so that's what he says. Interesting thing that he says: the individual can inherit the spiritual treasure of all mankind, and by becoming richer in truth, which truth he says is the reproduction of the reality in the mind of the things that the person understands, which is justice and giving people their due. That's called truth. So he can become more understanding and knowledgeable of and richer in truth, and therefore richer in justice, and lead a life of action. This is interesting, to lead a life of action instead of a life of mere experience. A life of doing, a life of productivity, not just experiencing things. Okay. Okay, so it certainly is interesting. Yeah. Okay, 370. We go back to Lou. We got 3 minutes left.
I'll try reading, but I've got a lot of noise. I got some construction going on.
Oh,
So if it gets bad, you tell me. But
okay.
he who, instead of truthfully expressing the words, what he has experienced, expressing in words what he has experienced to be real, communicates a false image of it to his brother, who accepts it and bases his behavior upon it, either being unjust to his fellow creatures or having a wrong conception of their intentions towards him being destroyed by them, that man turns into a curse. That supreme blessing of the Creator. Oh, he turns the blessing into a curse. For he who denies truth to his brother, thus violating the highest duty towards him which Hashem has imposed, calls down a curse. He who lies calls down a curse. And his material property is valuable only as a means for a life devoted to justice, and the liar steals the first condition of that justice, namely truth, and gives falsehood in exchange, thus giving birth to injustice. The liar is even more dangerous than the thief. The thief takes only the means of life as such, while the liar takes those of a just life, producing in turn injustice and misery. But just as Hashem links the supreme good, justice, to truth, so does he do the same with regard to the minor good, happiness. For to appreciate the nature of things, you rely on your knowledge of them. And if somebody deceives you about their true nature, he robs you of a support or causes you to lean on a support that is insecure. And by stealing from another directly something precious, truth, and so indirectly the most precious thing, justice, the liar also kills himself spiritually, for he extinguishes in himself that divine spark, which alone makes of a human being created for the benefit of his fellow men.
Mhm. Okay. We got it. So you have to communicate truth and not the opposite of that. And that's justice. And that's the supreme good. And that's the blessing. And the opposite is the opposite. Very good. As Hashem, we should be zocha to be Mekayim what the Rav Hirsch is saying, even though I don't quite understand 100% what he means, but anyway. Yeah, see, these words are very deep. Okay. All the best to Mayor. A great day.
You too. Be well.
See you, Mayor.
Okay. Bye now.
See you in a few minutes, Alan.
Just toy logos.
Bye-bye.
Okay, Lou.